I was violently restrained and dragged down hallways, stripped naked, and thrown into solitary confinement. Today, residential facilities are continuing to warehouse over 50,000 foster youth and unknown number of adopted youth in lockdown facilities. If you are a child in the system, hear my words. I see you, I believe you, I know what you're going through, and I won't give up on you.
I mean, why are we waiting? Who could be opposed to something called the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act? Are you kidding me? That should have been put on the floor. Yes, go. They should have this work group done. Maybe they... Hi, viewers. Dave Epstein coming at you from Post Pollock in Roseland, New Jersey. Today's topic, Paris Hilton. And why was she testifying before Congress? She was there to support the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act. Let's see a tape. Here's a news clip showing Paris testifying. I'll give you my take on all of this.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to discuss how to improve care for the nearly 400,000 children that are living in the foster care system as we speak. While my experience was not through the foster care system, I know from personal experience the harm that is caused by being placed in youth residential treatment facilities. When I was 16 years old, I was ripped from my bed in the middle of the night and transported across state lines to the first of 4 youth residential treatment facilities. These programs promised healing, growth, and support, but instead did not allow me to speak, move freely, or even look out a window for 2 years. I was force-fed medications and sexually abused by the staff. I was violently restrained and dragged down hallways, stripped naked, and thrown into solitary confinement. My parents were completely deceived, lied to, and manipulated by this for-profit industry about the inhumane treatment I was experiencing. Today, residential facilities are continuing to warehouse over 50,000 foster youth and unknown number of adopted youth in lockdown facilities. Innocent kids who have not committed crimes, kids whose parents didn't have resources to support them, kids whose parents passed away, kids who have already experienced trauma. This $23 billion a year industry sees this population as dollar signs and operates without meaningful oversight. It costs approximately $800 to $1,000 per day to place a foster youth in a facility, significantly more expensive than serving them in their own communities. What is more important, protecting business profits or protecting foster youth lives? Why can't we as a society see that these kids are hurting? They need love and kindness, not beatings and restraints. As a mom, these stories break my heart. Progress isn't an option anymore. It's a life or death responsibility. If you are a child in the system, hear my words. I see you, I believe you, I know what you're going through, and I won't give up on you. You are important, your future is important, and you deserve every opportunity to be safe and supported. Congress, please join me in creating a world where all children have a right to family, love, education, and the support they need.
Very well put by Paris. I applaud her. Let me start by commenting on some of the things people were saying on social media about this. First, they said, I can't believe Paris spoke so eloquently. Hey, folks, she's a 41-year-old woman. It's not like she came from a family that couldn't speak or write or read. She comes from privilege. So don't be surprised if she can articulate whatever she wishes to articulate properly. It was obviously a prepared statement, but good for her. It came off beautifully. The second thing some people have said is, well, why is she a spokesperson? Listen, folks, I don't care who it is. If they get the job done, they get the job done. I remember people gave Kim Kardashian a whole lot of, a heaping pile of grief when she went to Donald Trump and had him sign a bill that undid a criminal justice act that had been put in, I think, under Bill Clinton, where there were just too many people locked up under, for long periods of time for no good reason. And everybody said, well, who's Kim Kardashian? I say Kim Kardashian's the one. If she was the driving force, God bless her. I don't care if she did it for publicity. I don't know if she did. She got something done. And I think that's what Paris Hilton did here, folks. I frankly, I applaud her. I respect her that much more. Yeah, listen, I remember the good old days when they'd catch her out of clubs saying, oh, that's hot, or this and that, or she'd be getting caught with DWIs and things like that. But maybe motherhood has matured her, because I think she really came off well. Now, what is it, though? This is really what people sort of glide over. What is it that she's supporting? Let me pull out a copy of this, at least the statement. It's called the Stop International Child Abuse Act. It's H.R. 2955. That means House of Representatives bill. If you know anything about the law, you come up with a bill, it's debated, etc. There's a vote to pass it, then it goes through the Senate. The Senate passes it, then it's presented to the president for signature or veto. This bill was introduced in 2023, and the summary, the synopsis of the bill, every bill has a brief statement at the beginning or an introductory statement, and it said this bill establishes an interagency federal work group on youth residential programs to support and implement best practices regarding the health, safety, care, treatment, and appropriate placement of youth in youth residential programs. The work group must develop recommendations about a national database to aggregate information about processes and outcomes for youth in such programs. The work group must also support the education and training of professional and paraprofessional personnel in fields that service such youth. Last, it says the Department of Health and Human Services, which is the government agency that oversees things like foster care to the extent the federal government does, must contract with the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine to study and make recommendations about various aspects of federal and state oversight of youth residential programs. Okay, all that legal mumbo jumbo, and it wasn't as bad. Some others you wouldn't even understand. Basically, the Congress is finally going after residential treatment programs. Now, I've heard some people consider it a euphemistic way of referring to a reform school. They have a very broad definition here, though, of what that means. It can mean foster care. It can mean programs like Paris Hilton went to. And I find it interesting. She said they can be very expensive. I believe the one that Paris went to, it's the Provo Canyon School. It's located in Utah. $12,500 a day, as I understand it. A month, rather. $12,500 a month. Again, I applaud Paris because she was from privilege, and she said she was ripped from her bed. I don't know what happened at the Hilton household. I know she was having trouble in school. She was getting in trouble. At the same time, I have no reason to disbelieve her as to what happened at this program. And I find it interesting that she mentioned the parents had no clue what was going on. Sounds like a lot of institutions in the United States and around the world where parents place great faith in the institution as though it could do no wrong, and maybe there's somebody who should be looking over the shoulder. I guess this is also a comment on how slowly our government moves. This bill was introduced in April 2023. There should be action undertaken already on this. I mean, why are we waiting? Who could be opposed to something called the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act? Are you kidding me? That should have been put on the floor. Yes, go. They should have this work group done. Maybe they do. Maybe I misread it, but it looks like it was introduced in April 2023. We're still hearing testimony from Paris. What is going on? Now, Paris also, again, she did make mention in her little speech about underprivileged, because when I first heard about this, I said, well, she can speak from experience at an extremely expensive place that the Hiltons might be able to afford, but tens of thousands of kids, hundreds of thousands of kids have gone through these places where they're either getting it through Medicaid or they're not getting it at all. They're going to some state-run school where all sorts of shenanigans happen and not good ones, and it doesn't help a child at all. These are they're considered at-risk youths. They're in trouble. This is the time in their lives maybe where we can rescue them. I mean, you could say Paris was rescued. You know, she had her, after that stay in Provo, she had her wild time. She got herself in trouble, but she luckily had the financial resources and family support to get her out of it. A lot of kids who end up in these places don't. They don't have somebody who can go in there and keep an eye on the wardens, if you will. Every one of these places may have a different approach too. I think the one Paris went to focus on pharmacology and things like that, where you're using psychiatric drugs to treat people. Others have a holistic approach. There are outward bound programs for residential youth in trouble, where you go out and live off the land. And some of them work, some of them don't, some of them are tied in with rehab. Some of these kids are in trouble with drugs or alcohol. Whatever the case may be, what we should all do is, number one, encourage Congress to pass this act and encourage it to pass whatever legislation or funding is needed as a follow-up. Because it sounds like a great idea to address a problem that's been around a very long time and, in my opinion, has been ignored. And lastly, everybody knock it off with oh, did you see what Paris was wearing? Oh, what did Paris say? What did Paris do? I know at one point in the hearing she spoke about a congresswoman's jacket, how she liked it. I don't care. Charm the heck out of them, Paris. Go ahead. I applaud you, and everybody else should. Nobody should second-guess her motivations. She's doing a good thing, and she did a good thing, and I hope it turns into something that helps people. So here's to you, Paris. Thanks for listening in, folks. Dave Epstein from Post Pollock. Please hit like, subscribe, place your comments. We'll see you next time. Thanks.